Imagine hiring someone who, frequently ignores their exact job description, acts like they own the company, and constantly questions why you do things the way you do.
Sounds pretty exhausting.
Right. I mean, it sounds like an absolute managerial nightmare, like the kind of person who creates constant headaches for HR.
Oh, for sure.
But, well, according to the framework we are diving into today, that might actually be the exact blueprint for your next golden hire.
Yeah, it's a completely different way of looking at it.
It really is. We're looking at some brilliant insights originally mapped out by Stella Pop on how to find the ultimate universal gotta have them candidate. Because in a workplace that is, evolving at lightning speed, simply hiring someone to fill a seat and execute a task, it just isn't enough anymore.
No, it's really not.
You need a specific kind of talent to survive.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's unpack this. Because their first golden trait completely flips the standard interview script.
It really does.
They call it the entrepreneurial mindset. And there is a fantastic analogy here about a lemonade stand.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like the classic first resume builder, right? The sort of quintessential childhood business.
Exactly. But when evaluating a candidate's mindset, we aren't just looking for someone who says, yeah, I ran a lemonade stand when I was 10. I mixed the powder. I sold the cups.
Right. The basics.
Yeah. We are looking for the person who looked at a pile of lemons, recognized a gap in the local beverage market, optimized their supply chain, and immediately started wondering how to turn the entire neighborhood lemonade industry on its head.
Yeah, you want the disruptor.
You want the disruptor. And the framework uses this incredibly vivid contrast. It suggests you want to hire the pirate who takes ownership and conquers the seven seas, not necessarily the sailor who's always, playing it safe.
It is a striking image, really, the pirate versus the sailor.
It is, but I have to push back on this a little bit, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
When I first think about that, my immediate reaction is, wait a minute, doesn't a company actually need sailors? Like, if I'm running a business and I hire a ship full of disruptive pirates, doesn't the ship just sink from mutiny?
That's a valid point.
Right. Yeah. Because you can't have everybody trying to conquer the
seven seas.
Yeah, the seven seas. Like, somebody has to actually swab the deck, read the map, and follow the standard operating procedures.
Right. And what's fascinating here is how we define the pirate in a modern business context.
Okay.
Because we aren't talking about a rogue employee who ignores the rules purely for the sake of anarchy.
Right, not an actual criminal.
No, or someone who stages a hostile coup against the manager. We are talking about the underlying psychology of profound ownership.
The psychology of ownership. Break that down for me a bit.
So someone with this entrepreneurial mindset, they view the projects they are assigned as small, independent enterprises.
Oh, I see.
And critically, they view themselves as the CEO of that enterprise.
Interesting.
Yeah, so a traditional sailor, to lean into the metaphor, waits for orders. They execute the task they are given safely and predictably.
Swabbing the deck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if the wind dies down, they wait for the captain to tell them what to do.
Right.
But the pirate looks at the project and says, this is mine to conquer. I own the ultimate outcome.
Wow.
And they thrive in uncertainty.
Right.
In a business landscape that is constantly shifting, that ability to navigate unfamiliar waters without waiting for a manager to tell you which rope to pull, I mean, that is the foundation of organizational resilience.
I see. So it's less about being a rebel who, wears a leather jacket to the office and more about taking complete, uncompromising responsibility for the success of whatever they touch.
Precisely.
Like if they are handed a seemingly mundane project, they treat it like it's their own personal startup and their livelihood depends on its success.
Yes. True go-getters are disruptors because they simply refuse to settle for good enough when they know a more efficient strategy exists. They operate like pioneers.
Which raises the obvious practical question.
How to find them.
Yeah, how do you actually spot this in a 20-minute interview? Because anyone can put on a suit, sit across from a hiring manager, and confidently say, oh, yes, I am highly entrepreneurial.
Oh, sure. Everyone says that.
Right.
You have to bypass the buzzwords and dig into the mechanical reality of their stories.
Okay.
So when you ask them to share a time they navigated a major challenge, you have to listen closely to how they frame their success.
Okay, give me an example.
So a sailor, even a very competent one, will list the tasks they completed. They will say, I organized the spreadsheets, I made the phone calls, I hit the deadline.
Check, check, check.
Exactly. But a true pirate will focus on the system they had to redesign and the friction they overcame. Did they just survive the unfamiliar waters, or did they realize that was wrong, overhaul the strategy, and secure killer results.
Oh, so you're looking for proof of a pivot, not just execution, but evolution.
Precisely. And there's a crucial psychological nuance to look for here, a focus on both influence and action.
What do you mean by that?
Well, a fake pirate just goes rogue and tries to do everything themselves because they don't trust anyone else.
Right, the lone wolf.
Exactly. But a real entrepreneurial hire has the leadership ability to sway others to their way of thinking.
Okay.
They see a new, unconventional path, and they successfully convince the rest of the crew to row in that new direction.
Wow.
That combination of vision and influence is what separates a business-building disruptor from an everyday worker bee.
That distinction makes a lot of sense. A pirate who can't get anyone else on the ship is just a person floating on a plank.
Exactly.
And that actually sets up a really elegant transition to the next point. Because to be that kind of entrepreneurial disruptor, you first have to be willing to question the status quo.
You do.
You can't turn the lemonade industry on its head unless you are initially looking at the current setup and asking, why on earth are we doing it this way?
Right.
Which brings us to the second golden trait, which is keen curiosity.
The essential engine of disruption.
Yes. And there's this fantastic quote from the framework that I just love. It says, in the world of business, curiosity doesn't kill the cat. It makes the cat king of the molehill.
It's a brilliant encapsulation of how vital this trait is. Curiosity is the absolute prerequisite for innovation.
It is.
You literally cannot innovate without it.
But, I mean, it sounds good on a motivational poster, but functionally, why is it the prerequisite?
Because a curious new hire relentlessly pursues the hows and the whys of the machine they are operating inside.
Okay.
They aren't satisfied with simply knowing that a process works or that, we've always done it this way.
The dreaded phrase.
Right. They need to understand the mechanics underneath it. Team members with high curiosity have zero problem blowing past arbitrary boundaries to find fresh ways to improve products, services, or processes.
Yeah.
They are the ones who figure out the next big leap because they're always poking at the edges of what is currently possible.
I understand the theory, but let me play the pragmatic, slightly cynical manager for a second here.
Go for it.
If I hire someone to do a very specific siloed job, say managing a back-end database,
Okay.
and their keen curiosity means they are constantly stepping outside their actual job duties to poke around in marketing strategy or sales funnels,
Right.
aren't they just getting distracted? Like, are we risking hiring someone who is so curious about everything else that they fail to do the actual work I hired them for?
It's a totally valid managerial fear. I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
But we have to completely reframe that tendency. That cross-departmental wandering isn't a distraction. It is a massive organizational asset.
Really?
Yes. Curious people are proactive learners. They should dip beyond their routine scope.
Even if it means stepping out of their lane.
Especially then.
Wow.
They are rarely content with how things are and are always looking toward how things could be.
Okay, I see.
If your database manager is poking around in marketing, they aren't trying to avoid their coding work.
Right.
They're likely trying to figure out how the database architecture can be restructured to better serve the marketing team's metrics.
Oh, that makes sense.
They are asking deep questions that often result in major structural breakthroughs. They buck the status quo precisely because they were trying to connect the dots across the entire organization, rather than just optimizing their own tiny corner.
Okay, that's just the perspective entirely. So they aren't abandoning their post. They are climbing up to the crow's nest to get a better view of how the whole operation connects.
That's a perfect visualization, yes.
So, tactically, how do we spot the deeply curious cat in an interview? How do we separate idle curiosity from applied curiosity?
You look for the leap from I wondered to I investigated and optimized.
Yeah.
You ask them to describe a scenario where they problem-solved entirely under their own steam. What you want to hear is a narrative where they went beyond the initial scope of a project to find the absolute best possible solution, rather than just delivering the acceptable solution that was requested.
The extra mile.
Exactly. If a candidate says, I noticed our reporting software was sluggish, so I learned a new programming language over the weekend and rebuilt the macro.
Wow, okay.
Right. That reveals profound adaptability. It proves they thrive on challenges, and it tells you they will actively seek out ways to add value rather than waiting to be told how to add value.
All right, so we have the mindset, the entrepreneurial pirate, and we have the fuel, that keen curiosity that drives them to ask why.
Yep.
But what happens when something actually goes wrong?
Uh,
Because observing a flaw out of curiosity is great, but it's not enough on its own. You need action. Like curiosity spots the leak in the boat, but you still need someone to patch it.
exactly.
Which logically leads us to the third trait, proactive behavior.
This is where the conceptual becomes concrete.
And the imagery used for this one in the deep dive sources is incredibly vivid. Proactivity isn't just taking initiative after a problem is identified. It's about foreseeing potential fires well before they are lit and standing there with the hose already ready.
Standing with the hose ready. That is a fundamentally different psychological posture than simply knowing where the fire extinguisher is located in case of an emergency.
It really is.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The framework makes a brilliant distinction about authority. It argues that proactive people rarely wait for a green light when facing an impending challenge. They are the green light.
That is the absolute crux of it. It is the vast canyon between anticipation and reaction.
Okay.
Think about typical corporate culture. Most employees, even very good, highly compensated ones, operate in a reactive mode.
Sure.
And companies often reward this.
Oh, totally.
Right. A challenge arises, a fire starts, the employee responds quickly and efficiently, and we praise them for putting out the fire.
We give them an award for firefighting.
Exactly. But truly proactive individuals actively take charge to tackle issues before they ever become mission critical.
So they solve the problem while it's still just a whisper of a problem.
Yes,
Which means their best work is often entirely invisible.
exactly. And that kind of forward thinking is a massive compounding asset to a team's efficiency. You don't lose days or weeks to a crisis because the proactive team member quietly dismantled the systemic vulnerability 3 weeks ago.
But if their best work is invisible fire prevention, I imagine this is incredibly hard to interview for.
It is.
Because nobody is going to sit down and admit to being reactive. Everyone confidently believes they are proactive. So how do we force candidates to prove they actually are the green light?
The goal is to uncover how deeply ingrained this anticipatory behavior is in their professional DNA.
Okay.
You don't ask, are you proactive? You ask for a specific example of a time a crisis didn't happen because of their intervention.
Oh, that's good.
You want them to walk you through a time they identified a vulnerability well before it hit anyone else's radar and took the initiative to neutralize it.
You're forcing them to prove the sharpness of their foresight.
Yes. A reactive candidate will say, the server crashed on a Friday night, and I stayed up until 3 a.m. fixing it. A proactive candidate will say, I noticed server response times creeping up by 2% each week, so I preemptively reallocated resources a month before our busy season. We didn't experience a single outage.
Wow, totally different paradigm.
It is. You can also ask about times they've led projects with minimal supervision and tight deadlines. You are looking for a track record of preemptive problem solving. How do they manage and innovate ahead of the curve?
Okay, so if we successfully filter for these traits, we've built this incredible picture of a candidate.
We have.
They are an entrepreneurial pirate who acts like the CEO of their projects. They have a keen curiosity that acts as an engine for continuous innovation. And they are proactively putting out fires before they even start.
A true unicorn.
A true unicorn. But I have a rather large, glaring observation here.
Uh-oh.
A highly curious, wildly proactive pirate who takes total ownership and ignores boundaries. I mean, that sounds amazing for top-line revenue growth. But couldn't they also be an absolute nightmare to work with?
Oh, absolutely.
Right. If they are constantly bucking the status quo, stepping outside their job duties and acting like the CEO when they aren't the CEO, they could shatter the team dynamic if they lack basic people skills.
You've hit on the exact reason why a candidate evaluation can't stop at those 3 traits.
Okay.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, those first 3 traits, the mindset, curiosity, proactivity, they are an incredibly powerful V8 engine.
Right.
But if you drop a powerful engine into a car without brakes or a steering wheel, you're just going to crash into a wall at 100 miles an hour.
That's a great way to put it.
You need a foundational toolkit of secondary qualities, must-have support traits that keep the team cohesive and keep the pirate from capsizing the boat.
Okay, lay out the brakes and steering wheel for me. What are these secondary traits?
First and foremost is integrity.
And integrity, okay.
It's the absolute baseline. Think about the level of autonomy we're talking about with these candidates. If they are acting like CEOs of their own projects and independently making proactive decisions, they're operating with minimal oversight.
Right, they're off on their own.
Exactly. Without personal integrity, there can be very little trust from management. And without trust, There is zero scenario in which a highly autonomous hire can function, let alone grow, within your organization.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
If they are operating in the dark, you have to trust what they're doing in the dark.
Exactly.
What else?
High emotional intelligence, or EQ.
EQ.
This is massive, especially for a disruptor. A candidate must have the ability to manage their own emotions, as well as deeply understand and navigate the emotions of others.
Because if you are constantly questioning the status quo, you are inherently causing organizational friction. Like, people get very defensive when you question processes they built.
Oh, exactly. Disruption is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
A pirate without EQ is just a bully who steamrolls their colleagues and leaves a wake of resentment.
Yeah, nobody wants to work with that guy.
No. High EQ allows the curious disruptor to question a legacy process without insulting the person who originally designed that process.
Oh, that's crucial.
It is, which ties directly into the next trait, collaboration. These highly innovative candidates still need to function within a larger ecosystem. They have to know how to achieve ambitious team objectives in a positive way.
They need to bring people along on the journey rather than just leaving them behind.
Yes.
It sounds like you need a diplomat who thinks like a disruptor. That's a tough needle to thread. Are there any traits that show they can actually handle the stress of that friction?
That's where passion and agility come in.
Okay.
They must possess an agility in learning, a sort of mental flexibility to adapt when their radical ideas don't work out or when they face sudden, unexpected roadblocks.
Right.
Because if they have curiosity but no agility, they will fall into analysis paralysis. And they need to be leading with passion. If they don't genuinely care about the mission, they won't have the stamina to push through the resistance that naturally comes with being a change maker.
All right, so let's say we've done the impossible.
We found them.
We've used this rigorous framework. We asked the deep psychological questions. We checked for EQ and integrity. And we actually hired this golden candidate. But that leads to the final and perhaps most daunting part of the puzzle. How do we anchor them to the company? Because if they are this driven, curious, and proactive, aren't they just going to get bored and leave for a competitor?
That's the risk.
Or worse, lose their edge and assimilate into the mundane corporate machine?
It is a critical warning.
Yeah.
Identifying these cherry candidates is only step one.
Okay.
The real work begins the moment they walk through the door. You have to actively cultivate a thriving ecosystem for them, or they will inevitably stagnate or jump ship.
So how do we nurture this incredibly specific type of talent?
There are 3 distinct pillars for cultivating this kind of crew.
3 pillars, got it.
Pillar 1 is continuous learning. You can't hire someone with an insatiable appetite to learn and then refuse to feed them.
Yeah.
You have to provide seminars, workshops, and cross-functional projects that inspire creative thinking. But the most powerful tool here is a specific psychological hack regarding mentorship.
Oh. How does mentorship fit in for someone who is already a top-tier hire? You aren't mentoring them, are you?
No, you are turning them into the mentor.
Oh.
You take the individuals who possess these golden traits and deliberately pair them with less experienced junior team members.
I see. That's brilliant. It satisfies the pirate's need for ownership and influence.
Exactly. It offers vital guidance to the new folks, but more importantly, it gives your high performers a platform to inspire others. It turns your absolute best talent into a cultural multiplier, scaling their mindset across the entire company.
Okay, so we are feeding their brains and giving them influence. What is the second pillar?
Pillar 2 is rewards and recognition.
Makes sense.
You have to put a spotlight on your innovators. But this isn't just about handing out plaques to boost their egos. It is about structural anchoring.
Meaning tying their specific behavior to career advancement.
Yes. Regularly noticing and rewarding these key traits provides motivation, but more importantly, it creates a visible benchmark for the rest of the team.
All right.
It shows everyone else exactly what the organization actually values. If you claim to value proactive disruption, but you only ever promote the safe, quiet sailors who never rock the boat, your pirates will realize you are lying and they will leave.
Oh, absolutely. They'll see right through that.
They will. There must be a clear path for advancement that is directly tied to demonstrating these exact traits.
So we are feeding their curiosity with continuous learning, and we are validating their mindset with structural rewards. What is the final pillar?
Pillar 3 is equip and enable your team. This goes back to the proactive trait.
Okay.
If you hire someone who is a self-starting proactive engine, you must ensure the environment empowers them. You have to grant them autonomy.
No hovering oversight.
None. You equip them with the resources they need, you set the target, and then you get out of their way.
You know, it really reminds me of building a greenhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like you spend all this time and money hunting for this incredibly rare exotic seed, this high-yield unicorn candidate.
Right.
But you can't just plant an exotic seed in frozen bureaucratic soil in the middle of winter and expect it to thrive.
Absolutely not.
Like, if your company requires 3 layers of managerial approval just to change a cell on a spreadsheet, your proactive green light candidate is going to wither and die. The environment dictates the growth.
That is a phenomenal analogy.
Right.
You have to meticulously control the climate. And a huge part of that greenhouse climate is open communication.
Yeah.
You must create a space where radical ideas can be shared openly, without censure, without ridicule, and certainly without fear of jeopardizing their job.
Because if a curious pirate thinks they're going to get fired for suggesting a process is broken, they're just going to stop suggesting ideas.
Exactly.
They'll put away their pirate hat, turn off their curiosity, and just become a bored, disengaged sailor collecting a paycheck.
Which completely defeats the purpose of spending all that time and money to find them in the first place.
Right.
You have to intentionally build a culture of resilience and innovation. Because as we see across every sector today, industries are evolving at breakneck speed.
They really are.
A team's ability to proactively adapt isn't just a nice-to-have cultural bonus, it is the pivotal factor in long-term survival.
So what does this all mean?
Good question.
If we pull all these analytical threads together, the core takeaway is that preparing for the future of business requires a very specific trifecta of talent.
Right.
You need the entrepreneurial mindset that takes total CEO-level ownership of outcomes. You need the keen curiosity that relentlessly asks why and connects the dots across the organization. And you need the proactive behavior that anticipates fires and acts decisively before they ever start.
Exactly.
And if you can find those 3 things and ensure they are stabilized by strong integrity and high EQ, your team is primed not just for the challenges of the here and now, but for literally anything the future might throw at you.
It is a truly powerful framework for evaluating talent. But, this raises an important question.
Oh, where are we going with this?
Well, the entire discussion so far has been framed outward.
Right.
It's a guide for hiring managers on how to evaluate others. But ultimately, I think this framework serves as an incredibly sharp mirror for our own professional survival.
Flipping the mirror back on ourselves. I like it.
Yeah. If you, the listener, were sitting in the hot seat today, if you were the one being rigorously evaluated against this golden standard, which of those 3 core traits would be your weakest link?
Oh, wow.
Right? Are you lacking the profound ownership of the entrepreneurial pirate? Has your keen curiosity faded into just blindly accepting the status quo?
Just going through the motions.
Exactly. Or are you spending all your time reacting to fires instead of proactively preventing them? The real challenge isn't just finding these traits in others. It's figuring out how to treat yourself as your own cross-functional project to actively build that specific muscle before your next big career move.
Wow. That is definitely something to sit with, because whether we are the ones building the greenhouse or the ones trying to grow inside it, we all have to figure out how to stop waiting for the green light and start being the green light.